There we go. All right. Yeah. So bright. Bright, bright, bright. Too bright. Nope, wrong button. There we go. All right. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing today? Oh, hair. Dang it, I almost tangled it again. Oh, how are we doing today, everybody? Hope everybody's doing good. Man, I don't know why my voice. Oh, you know why my voice is so deep today? It is because I just got done playing at the uh, LSO. And what we should do is we should talk about that. I have lots of things to say. Very fun tournament. Very interesting things happen. And I want to talk about them. For those who don't know, LSO is the Texas Super Major that is held by Frontline Gaming. It's one of the biggest events in Texas besides like the Dallas Open. Oh, excuse me. And some other ones, even smaller, like GTs like just burping all over the place. But yeah, so LSO is the super major in Texas run by Frontline Gaming. They're the same people who put on the LSO, the LVO, the Las Vegas Open, and so there was 333 players at this event. I ended up going. I won one game, I tied a game, and then I lost 4 games. I want to go over those. I will. First, what we're gonna do is we're gonna share the socials because we do this every stream because I need to figure out my job and what I'm doing because we have to figure this out at some point. But I'm sleepy. Figure this out at some point. The socials, no, the socials. I'm excited to check out that list that you've sent. I haven't gotten the chance to check it yet, but I'm excited to go over it together. I will be real. This is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Then we'll do we gotta do the story. Oh, this will be a good one. You guys will like that. That's that's gonna be the social media post. It was built on hour 32 of being awake. Good. Because that's what you'll need right now. So there were out of all of the players at LSO, Emperor's Children was the most popular faction taken besides Space Marines. We did it, everybody. We did it. GW can't ignore us now. Give us our second wave. But no, it was really cool getting to basically see how many people were bringing Emperor's Children, and how many people were. It was really interesting the amount of like what they were bringing. It was every single person except for like 3 people brought demons. It was the demons. The demons that I'm 95% sure that demons are going to get nerfed. Because they are crazy. So, how do I spell Emperor? Can I spell things? There we go. So there was 20 Emperor's Children players. Okay, it wasn't super crazy, but there was a lot. I ended up finishing down here, 269. 69. That's a win. I didn't even realize that. That's a win. I'm proud that I didn't get worst Emperor's Children player. I also got to play against Cole Spawny. Great guy. Super nice guy. Super fun to play against him. It was a really good game. Very, very good game. And that was the thing that I will say was probably my favorite part about all of what happened this weekend. I got very lucky and I played, I think there was one single person that I played against, which was Cole, that I hadn't met previously. And that to me was probably one of the best gifts that this weekend could have given me, because we do have some things to talk about. And I'm going to be real, I'm not a big creator, but FLG, we got to talk. We got to talk, man. But the top Emperor's Children player, that is a great question. It was Mark. He probably was either that or doing Peerless for priority. Yeah, he did Peerless and Spectacle, which is the one that I was thinking about doing this one. 6 Flawless Blades. Actually, interesting that he did 2 Defilers and not an extra Flawless Blade unit. But yeah, oh, you can't see this. Let me see. What? Wait, where'd it go? Hey, where'd it go? There we go. So yeah, he did Peerless. No, wait, huh? No, this is Seth. Wait, where am I? Where am I? Hold on. Okay, wait, hold on. I lost it. That's so funny. Anyways, he was doing Peerless. Where did they put me on it? Yeah, I was like, what the heck? For some reason, I have too many tabs open. There we go. Perfect. We found it. I found it finally. So yeah, he was doing Peerless and Spectacle. And what was the next guy doing? Also, the Army esports team. Oh my god, I haven't really gotten the chance to interact with those guys. Those guys are the best. A lot of those guys are awesome. I got to hang out with Thomas, their Thousand Suns player. Dude, it was great. I loved chatting with him. It was so funny to hang out with him. Let's see. So 11. So the 11th player, Mark, great player. And then Taken Hold was the next one. I am also going to be real. Demons are going to be the weird spot balance-wise. You have an army with a universal deep strike, relies entirely on invulnerable saves, and has very little shooting. Yeah, and that's the weird thing about the Demons attachment, too, is that the Demons attachment in EC is insanely good because it gives you really good shooting as well. So now you've got really good melee. You've got devastating wounds on pretty much everything. I've got a list that I'm working on with Shalaxi, and if you read what Shalaxi does for 315 points, holy shit, she is a powerhouse. Like 315 points for reroll advance, reroll charges, can pick a unit and get basically what could be considered a better Oath of Moment, which is reroll hits and reroll wounds against that target while having a strength 12 spear. Yeah. I think in all honesty, I think the way to do it is not nerfing demons for Slaanesh in demons, but they need to do something about them in Emperor's Children. Specifically because like I'm looking at the list and I'm going like, yeah, in all honesty, right now, yeah. Well, and also the interesting thing too, and we'll pull, I think this is a demons list too, so this is perfect. Demonettes are 90 points. But then also I was looking at this last night. Okay, yeah, they're just throwing in demonettes. But I was looking at this last night. Seekers are 80 points. Fiends are also 90 points. And if you haven't seen what Seekers do, they're T4, 2 wounds apiece for 5 with a scout 9 inches, 14 inches of movement. And I think they get to, it's like reroll advances and charges. Seekers are insane. I'm going to play a list today at a Shalaxi and 2 Seekers because the Seekers are cheaper than the Demonettes. Like, oh my god, that's actually kind of bad. Like, that's the one thing I will say as somebody who plays Emperor's Children. I will tell you when I don't think something is above board. And I'm gonna be real, Seekers being 80 points is almost a little too cheap with what they can do in Emperor's Children with Carnival of Excess, because they've got good melee with Devastating, but the fact you can just drop them down and basically feed them in as ammo almost, like without having to actually kill anybody. But now you have all this melee defensive stuff if people come and push on you. But the fastness of being able to say like, oh, well, if I have done my killing correctly, 14-inch move on Seekers. Like, whoa, that's crazy. So I'll be completely real. I know they need to work on demons a little bit, because demons just need to go up. Like, I think demonettes could be 100 points. I think fiends can be 110, maybe fiends 110. It depends. Seekers probably need to go up to 90, in all honesty. And that's the funny thing is, like, you're probably like, Nick, why are you wanting to nerf your own detachments and stuff? It's not that. I just know that at some point they're going to nerf demon princes instead. The demonettes is stacking the demon prince and the keeper to make them blend Space Marine equivalents. Yeah. And then if you can put either a demon prince on foot or a keeper of secrets, you can also up the AP of anything, because they do auras, and I think that they're I need to figure out how to put those in there, because you could have 2 different auras of AP +1 when you charge next to them. And in this one too, you can 1 CP in the charge phase after advancing, and get your demonettes or whatever demons to be able to advance and charge as well, which is crazy. I need to double check the stratagem to make sure that it's that it is something that big people can do too. Yeah, anything that's Legion of Excess. So Shalaxi can do it, which being able to advance and charge Shalaxi because another Emperor's Children unit is in combat with it is crazy, because you don't need to worry about the Thrill Seekers rule. You can charge a Winged Demon Prince and then charge Shalaxi, and now you've got Mortal Wound Bombs, and it's like, it's the same. It's, I think, in order, and then you read what Shalaxi does, and you're like, I wish Fulgrim did that, and she's cheaper than Fulgrim. Like, it's so weird, and it's unfortunate, because I think that there's what it is that we need to be looking at the Marines and fixing the Marine parts, because the Marine parts are still getting hit with stuff. The Demon Prints are getting hit, but the problem is I'm hoping that this doesn't mean that Noise Marines go up, right? Because, like, if Noise Marines go up because of this, it doesn't make the Demonette stuff better. I mean, you could just still do Terminators, but I think we've finally gotten to the point with 160 point Terminators with sustained hits upgrades. I think the Terminators are going to have to go back up in points, because now people are bringing them. We kind of cheated the system and just didn't bring them until they brought us down. Yeah, looking at the keepers and thinking they're a better pick for Fulgrim, you're absolutely right. Built-in -1 to hit, being able to do 2 -1 to hit with an 8, like, and they're cheap too. They are not expensive at all to do what's it called? Keeper of Secrets. Yeah, they are what, 200, they're 255 points. Like, they are 5 points more than the Defilers when they came out now, because they're not the greatest thing in the world, but they are very good at what they do, right? And I think that's the big problem. And I think that's the thing that, because, like, I'm going to play one today where I bring in those Seekers. I'm going to see how that goes. And if the Seekers are like that, I'm going to be like, this is crazy. Also, the fact that you can take the Elegance Brutes and give yourself take and hold. I'm going to be completely real. Yeah, T10, it wounds 18. The reason I like Shalaxi a little bit more is just she goes up 20, and then she's just killing power. But also, I do think it's funny, if you look at the shooting on the Keeper of Secrets, my favorite thing about it is the Facets Mazguaria, right? If you look at this, I don't know if you can see it super well because of my ring light. Ring light, don't fuck me now. All right. Probably you can't see it super well, but basically the only thing that's different between the hazardous psychic attack and the non-hazardous is 3 attacks. She just adds 3 attacks, and that's the reason to do the hazardous. And it's really funny to me that is how it works. I'm just like, she's like, yes, I get to go a little bit more psychic, and then my brain hurts. Like, I don't know if that's something where that needs to maybe be fixed a little bit, or something where it's like, yeah, maybe it goes up 1 strength just because we're doing a hazardous roll. Like, come on, let's please make the profile be slightly different than just 3 attacks. Because if you look at Shalaxi, she gets sustained hits 3 when you do hazardous, and you're like, oh, yeah. But yeah, the fact that they're the T10, wounds 18, breakpoint. Also, by the way, I was talking to one of my good friends, and we actually realized that we messed up when it comes to Grievous Blow. Grievous Blow is the new Cole the Horde. So if it's like models, I was wrong about that. That's my bad. I was wrong. Admit it. I was wrong. But basically, that's the new Cole the Horde. You can't do it on big toughness models. So if it's got even though it's a starting strength, right? Technically, it's the wounds. It's now worded weird. So when we used to word Battle Shock, we used to say it was about the starting strength, right? Well, now technically, starting strength or whatever. See, okay, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know if that was correct, what he was saying. I don't know, because does that mean then, like, whenever I shoot my Defiler, that I'm never above half strength for a model with wounds? I don't know if that's right. Because basically, let me see, starting strength. Because we found something about starting strength where basically they were saying, like, oh, well, if you're 1 unit, oh my god, I'm gonna have to find this. Oh my god, units and models. Starting strength and half strength. There we go. Okay, starting strength of 1. So technically, okay. Oh my god, it's weird. So below half strength, add half strength, below starting strength. Okay, so Grievous Blow says that you have to have a starting strength of 13 plus. Things have changed. So starting strength is no longer about how many. It's really weird. Yeah, we do need to. I'm probably gonna have some more time coming up, because after this, like, GT, or after this Super Major, I just now have time. So, but I'll have some time. We'll figure out for sure. But basically, starting strength of 1, then you look at the wounds when it comes to below half strength and blah 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 blah. But it doesn't count for Grievous Blow, because the starting strength is 1. But then we're talking about, yeah, it's nuts. But we're talking, so like, if it's at half strength and it's anything more than 2, then you start doing the number of models, right? The number remaining of the half of its wound characteristic, right? That's if it's a starting strength of 1. So we've done something a little bit weird, and maybe it makes a little bit more sense than how it was. So starting strength has caveats, but I think we just use the term starting strength kind of over a bunch of stuff. So who knows? But yeah, the 10. So that's, yeah, the fact that it's only 13. So that is crazy. That is crazy that it's 10 guardsmen and a commissar, especially since you're still doing what's it called? 75 points versus boys at 75 points, which is garbage. Garbage. Disgusting. But speaking of garbage and disgusting, yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I think for that one it would mean that the models would have to be 13 or more. But it's so weird. It's weird. It's weird. I think it's just because we use different terms we use the same term for different things, because we just colloquially just kind of like make sense that way. It's confusing, but I do want to talk about something very quickly. Yeah, because if it's a squad of 2, you're good because it's only the models now. It's not about the wounds in the models. It's only about the models physically. So if you're worried about the 10s guardsmen and the commissar being 11 models, if it's 11 models, you're still outside of the starting strength. Because technically half strength still counts, but it's only talking about your wounds or models. But if your starting strength it's what you started model wise. It's really weird. But I do want to talk about something quickly that I was extremely disappointed by with the LSO. This is one of the craziest things I've ever had to deal with at a tournament. So first of all, when basically how it was all working right is that list submissions and everything was supposed to go out Wednesday. And on Wednesday, I checked my email. I was looking for stuff. I paid for the premium swag ticket to get my hat and get my fun little dice and all that stuff. And when basically I checked my email and I didn't receive any email. So I had to email them and be like, hey, I need my BCP code to register in order to send in my list. And they did a great job at being very, very quick on responding to that. It was very fast on that one. Oh, I apologize. I'm going to have to put you on voicemail, Brian, if you're watching. I will talk to you in a second. I have to do this stream unless it's an emergency. Text me if it's an emergency. But they sent me the email finally, and I sent in my list, and it was fine. They added it in there. It was all good. And then we get there, and in the schedule and all the things, it says there's no registration you need to do. There's nothing you need to do walking in. Like, you can just walk in. The round starts at 9. Okay. So I get there at 8:30, 8:40, right? I'm in the door getting my swag at 8:40, right? Walk over, I see my buddies, see Josh, see everybody that I know, and I see Josh, one of my good friends, at the judges table. And I was like, hey man, how you doing? What's going on? And he's like, oh, I'm trying to check in, but they won't let me check in. Like, I'm figuring it out. Like, it seems as though they're trying to say that I dropped. And I'm like, what? And there was a line of all of us, and there was maybe 20, maybe 25. I don't know. I think 20 was the max. Where basically all of us were sitting there with our phones going, we are here. Why can't we check in? Like, it's maybe a minute after 45. Nobody's announced anything. And so basically all they started doing was just pointing at 2 people and going, you two, go. You two, go. Because I guess they closed the submissions for check-ins earlier than the round. And they started every round earlier than they said they were going to. And they tried to drop 20 players at the very beginning of the day on Saturday. They tried to drop myself. They tried to drop Josh Martin. They tried to drop like my buddy Aris. Like, they try to drop like a lot, honestly, an insane amount of people who were literally sitting there in front of them going, we are trying to check in and you will not let us check in. And now you're trying to drop us. So they do all this pairing and they go find tables in the back, which, okay, we're already now behind time because y'all started the round early. We get back there and we find some people have had tables, but there are about 10 to 15 of us who are sitting around going, hey guys, there are not enough tables. There are not enough tables for all of us to play. And so they have to get tables out for us. We have to wait for them. And we have to get tables out. And then also they didn't have enough terrain for everybody. So they had all this terrain that they got sent the night before. And I guess they just didn't decide to unpack it and to get all this stuff ready. But they actually, for the amount of people that they were trying to drop, was the amount of tables that they did not have available. So there's a part of us that we're all thinking that they were assuming that they didn't want to put these tables up, and they just assumed that this many people would drop. But in all honesty, it was probably one of the it was one of the worst experiences I've ever had starting a tournament. I cannot tell you how many people dropped because of that. And after the first day going, I can't play the game. I do not have I don't have the same advantage as the people who have had an extra 15 to 20 minutes to get set up because they said, oh, well, registration was at 8:45. And I just looked at them and went, there's nothing on the schedule that says that we need to click in at 8:45. To the point where even the judges looked at me and went, oh, yeah, you're right. There's nothing that says that. And I'm like, and you tried to drop us after I paid you almost $200 for a ticket. I'd already grabbed my swag from the front desk. How am I not here? Right? We got to fight the tournament organizers, man. It's crazy. It was the craziest thing I've ever dealt with. I will say the judges were great. The judges are, unless they're the head judges, they're not a part of the FLG team. I think there was only 3 members of the FLG team there. But it was a smack show. Like it was a smack show. Also, I will say this. I think there is a need to figure out a better way of doing layout systems because I'm going to be completely real. We did layout A one day and we did layout B one day. And for the first day, Friday, my first 3 games, I did not play. Yeah, they're not beating the allegations at all. This is also the same event that last year, right, was the pocket Hellbrute guy where he had an extra unit straight up in his army, won the GT, and then they had to give it to his opponent because his opponent went, you have 150 points. And funny enough, the guy who played against him last year actually won again. Won again this year. Great for him. And he actually was using things to measure, and it was like a defiler plate, and it had a Hellbrute on it, and it said pocket Hellbrute on it. It was so funny. Like there was a lot of people that were like, screw you, FLG. It's pocket Hellbrute. I think that entire team that came with him, all of them had some sort of pocket Hellbrute joke, which is like, it's fair. That was a freaking misstep because also this is the same group that posted after that saying, we commend the person who came forward and said that they made a mistake for their sportsmanship. Brother, they lost. They won the tournament. And then once they got caught, they said, oopsie poopsie, my bad. Like, you don't get to win a super major GT and act like, oops, I made a mistake. I'm just a little guy. I'm just a little player. Like, bro. It's like one of my buddies heard the third best demon player miss saying his stratagem on purpose. I'm like, at a certain point, if you're the third best demon player in the country, you don't get to make those kinds of mistakes without it being consequential. It'd be like if I made a massive mistake about my codex, right? I had the whole thing in my brain, If I messed up, I would be like, oh, shit, that is really my fault. I'm dropping. I'm going to go tell the judges. I'm going to drop. This is my bad. I messed up really badly. I got to drop, do everything. Don't commend me for my sportsmanship. Call me a dumbass who needs to go and learn the rules. Like, that's how it should be. If we're going to that level of professional play where people are making money off this because they've got YouTube channels or coaching or whatever, we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard of professionalism. And let's see. Yeah, because I'm all on rant. It's FLG not beating the allegations. I will also say that they even celebrated during their little award ceremony last night, going, we didn't have any red cards. I'm like, if you don't have any, if you're celebrating not having somebody cheat, that's a problem. Man, can you guys actually then judge the event and make sure that people don't cheat? Because maybe you would need to do a red card on some of these players. And yeah, for reference, the Dallas Open let waitlist players join in even 15 minutes after the first round and plenty of tables. They were trying to draw. Yeah, so the event sold out. It was 330 tickets. Every single person who was going to be there. Like they tried to drop me after I emailed them with my list, all this stuff going, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. Like, and it was specifically because they didn't announce, hey guys, 5-minute call for check-in, or anything. They just didn't have enough tables and they didn't want to set them up. Yep. It's such foolishness that they would drop paying people when they charge so much to participate. Yeah. And in all honesty, it was a lot of the people who went to go get their premium swag without checking their phone first because they were like, oh, well, it was a part of the painting competition. And I was like, no, it doesn't say that at all. It also says there's no in-person registration needed. So even the judges were looking at me and going like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, yeah, I'm right, dude. It's expensive. And you guys are not some local game store. Like if this was a local RTT, I would be fine with them making that mistake. This is the same people who put on LVO. What kind of what were y'all smoking before you walked in that event on Friday? I don't understand. Like, I'm gonna be real. I will probably participate next year, but if it happens again next year, I'm gonna be real. I'm probably not gonna go back to LSO ever again. Because, like, in all honesty, we had shorter time to play. I think we have like almost an hour shorter than any other person who got to play. So their actions made an unfair playing advantage for other players. And like for me, I got my butt whooped because I played Thousand Suns in the first round. That was not going to go well. I played Thousand Suns twice in the first day, and I went, yeah, because not only were they knew that we were late, right, because of what they had done, and then also during the first and second round, once they had hard cutoff times, even for the people that had to start an hour later. So we were rushed also through our first day as well, to the point where one of my buddies that I played in the second round, he was just having a hard day because of everything. He was like, I don't understand, but I'm having literally the second game into a super major. He's like, I'm tired and I might want to drop. It ruined so many experiences for so many people. And we were playing, and literally one of the judges, Nate, came over and straight up was like, put the dice down. And I'm like, we are literally in the last round talking it out. And he's like, no, dice down, scores now. And I'm like, you don't get to talk to us that way. Like, he walked away. I was like, I'm like, whatever. And I'm thinking, you don't get to talk to us this way when you're going to rush us and you're going to make us late. Like, I'm not here for this. And like like in all honesty, I was going to win that game because of that cutoff. But what I did is personally, I like went and said, okay, he's got Abaddon alive. He's got that alive. I've got that alive. Okay. He's probably going to win the game. He's probably going to score this. And I gave him the win with 77 to like 58 or something like that. Because I was just like, I'm not worried about it. Take the win, please. You're having a bad time. Like, I get it. Have fun. Like, because it's not about winning, right? The game's not about winning. Even when we're at a tournament, like, once the first game lost, it doesn't matter anymore, because that's the only really time. If you don't get past your first win, who cares? Go have fun. Play the game, enjoy your friends, see everybody, have fun. So like that to me is one where it's like, yeah, there's no way that we could have had a great experience because of how they presented all of this. Like, in all honesty, I'm going to be completely real. I really think you guys should issue a public apology for that one. I know you won't, because you don't accept accountability for most things, FLG, because like a lot of the higher organizations, it seems, that do gaming in the Warhammer sphere, there's just not a lot. There's not a lot of accountability, especially this following the whole Art of War bullshit thing. It has really kind of made me have a bad look on pro players, because there's been a lot of bull that I've been seeing. And it's one of those things where I'm like, guys, you got to hold yourselves to a higher level of fucking standards. Like, I'm sorry, but like, if FLG thinks it's going to survive because it's the first one to do this, I have some really bad news for them. They will not. Blizzard was a big gaming company for a long time, and now they're nothing. Okay. So as this hobby gets more popular, I swear to God, if FLG, if you guys don't get your shit together, somebody is going to overtake you in tournaments. It's just going to happen. Or GW might talk to y'all and maybe not let you do it anymore. Whatever. Yeah, FLG is too big of an organization to pat themselves on the back for somebody not cheating. The bar is in hell. It's like they want a big company revenue with a small LGS freedom from accountability. Exactly. That is the mentality of these top level people at times when it comes to this, is the whole thing of like, oh, well, you know, it's still the small thing. It's the same thing that GW goes where I have to go, where sometimes I have to like scream and go, they're $1 billion company. They're acting like oh, guys, we're just little guys. It's so hard. Like even during their award show, they were like, oh, guys, we beat the Texas Curse, guys, the algorithm. And almost they also made us wait like an hour to an hour and a half after the final round of Sunday to do the awards when we were all sitting there going, can you guys do this? We've been sitting here for an hour after our game, and then they were snarky to us. My God. Like, here's the thing. You don't get to be snarky when you mess up. Like, I don't understand. Like, they're over here being like, guys, thank you guys so much for bringing us into your community. Oh, you know, it's all about, we would love to champion the community. I'm like, you try to drop 20 players. I don't want to hear that you champion the community when you try to drop players. Like, especially when the round starts at 9 and it was all at 8:40. There's literally 20 minutes to get this stuff set up. They just didn't want to. It's whatever. That's honestly the most I really want to say about it, because I don't want to be too negative about it, because I had a great time. It was a wonderful, I'm gonna be real. Sunday was so much fun. Had such a great time on Sunday. But in all honesty, I mean, I've been saying this week, and I was gonna talk about this on Monday. I want to talk about this because the big thing, and like I have a background in journalism, and the biggest thing about that is that what our job is as doing YouTube for this stuff is whenever you guys want to go to these events, we go to these events and tell y'all the truth of what happened, so that if you decide to go, you don't end up having the same situation that I did. Like if you decide to go to LSO next year, I definitely recommend it. You'll meet a lot of great people. Tons of my friends were there from all over tournaments that I played, to the point where I didn't play. I played only one person that I had not met beforehand. And that to me was a massive win. But I'm going to be real. I would not buy their extra stuff. I would not buy their extra ticket. Like, don't support them in that way. In all honesty, they really need some reality checks. So like, I recommend going to any super major regardless of what is happening, because again, it comes down to the game, and getting the opportunity to play the game is more important than anything else. But go in it with a grain of salt, knowing you have to get there early, because they are assholes at times. Assholes. And it's fine. You can't win them all. But at the same time, we are coming for you, FLG. I already know game stores that are trying to hold bigger tournaments than FLG down here. And I'm going to be real. I know some of these guys that could do it better. And let's be real, the minute we can make our own tournaments in Texas is the minute FLG never steps foot in here again. Because I swear, I swear, I don't want to hear another thing from FLG about championing the community. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah, they patted themselves on the back for cheating. Yeah, like, it's crazy. Oh, somebody didn't cheat this year. Great. Why are you guys cheating? Like, you're literally, you're so, like, it's stupid. It's the dumbest thing I just ever have heard. Also, if you gotta cheat at this game to win, you're just not that good. I'm sorry. And that's okay. Nobody has to be the best. But what we can do is we can be kind to each other. We can be sweet. And then we can kick the shit out of each other on the battlefield. No, but it was really fun. let's go through some of the games I played, because that's the more fun part about all this. I could complain all day, but oh, I found another thing to complain about, but it's not about FLG. It's the complaint train. Guys, play Take and Hold. Holy crap, Take and Hold is so easy. Oh my god, it's so easy. I did not realize how I did not realize how easy Take and Hold was. And we get it with the Terminator detachment. Like, let me see. Let me go to the primary missions of this for Take and Hold. Oh my god. Like, I was playing against Take and Hold for the entirety of the first day, and it's probably going to get nerfed and changed around a lot. But oh my god, Inescapable Dominion. You can control your own home objective and score on it. You just have to control 2 or more objectives for 5 every turn. Controlling more, like, all you have to do is control 3. And in some of these maps, that's just in your territory. Like the map that we played, I will pull this up on Warcom. Also, let's see if maybe they might have also posted a new miniature. Nope. No reveals. No reveals. But yeah, so basically on the map that we played, there were 3 objectives in their home. Problem is charging premium. Exactly. Right. It's honestly the funny thing is if FLG wants to play this like it's a RTT, then just call it an RTT. But it's a 300-person super major, and they just wanted to act like it was a RTT, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Let's see. Let me find the map for you. This is why I was like, Take and Hold. Greatest thing I've ever seen when it comes to that. I did not realize that it was that easy, like that easy to do. Yeah. So this is basically, yeah, I think this is the same map that I played. Oh, wait. Layout B. Yeah. Okay. So this is the map that I played. I played this map 3 times. 3 times I played this map. So my opponent did not have to move out of their territory to score max every time. Every time. Every time. All they had to do was walk up and take. I was like, holy crap. Because it's mostly this mission is just completely unfair to the other ones. Like, this is just insane to me. Like, this is insane. Because it's the thing is, all you have to do at the end of your turn is control 3 or more objectives. So you don't have to do any actions. All you have to do is kill, right? If something's on an objective, or just walk on. So, like, I'm probably going to be doing that. That's honestly why also demons are going to get nerfed. Every single person was taking this with demons. They have the speed, they have the reliability, and you've got Deep Strike Terminators, because the Terminator detachment gives you Take and Hold. But like for me, right, the Take and Hold matchup was secure asset. So I had to secure asset every turn. So in my shooting phase, I had to do an action, right? If I control that objective at the end of that turn, meaning I had to kill stuff. But that one wasn't too bad because I could just sit it right here. Well, wait. What was it? Yeah. The nice thing is I could just do these right here, right? These right here. But it was one of those where, like, there was nothing that I could do about doing the 2 or more, because that's the other thing that it does is you control 1 or more for 4, right? 3 or more gets you an extra 4. So I could potentially, and then I'd have to kill something within that turn range. So I could get 6. It's not that priority assets is harder. It's that Take and Hold is just very easy when it comes to being able to not extend yourself. And that is something that I was like, oh, EC needs that. I need to not extend myself and that you should come to me, right? People are trying to say that, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's what I've heard from what I've seen on Reddit and the more vitriolic people who want to talk about it on there. They're like, that and priority assets is very smooth brain. I would disagree. I would say that battlefield dominance is if you want to play a lot of elite stuff like CSM, all those can do it. And then priority assets is if you want to play a lot of units. If you don't want to play a lot of units, play take and hold. If you want to play a lot of units, play priority, right? And it's like every army can do that. But it was one of those things where I'd never played too much against take and hold. And so I was insanely surprised. Like they have no, I don't think there's a single one of these missions except for the take and hold matchup. Okay. The only one, so the take and hold and the purge the foe matchup for them. Interesting. Okay. So it looks like it's only in certain ones, but it's still really good. It's still really good. I was asking if basically I thought that take and hold you could do it on every single like you could always have your home, but this, so it's less about the actual take and hold disposition and more about the added these, I think. Yeah, it's good. It might not be it might not be as crazy as I thought it was now that I'm actually looking at it and I'm seeing my opinion's changing on a little bit where it's not insanely broken. It's not as broken as I thought it was. It's a lot more balanced than I thought it was. But the priority asset mission is a hard one, and I came with a lot of elite stuff. And in all honesty, I think I'm going to retire coterie. I like coterie, but I think that my skill cap for it, I still need to work a lot harder to learn that one now with the new restrictions, the new rules with precision and all that. So personally, I don't think I have, my skill cap is a little bit lower for coterie to play it at high skill right now. So I want to play the demons today because I just want to see how the demons play. I don't think I'm going to end up playing demons detachment very often because I think it's going to get nerfed. I might try it out this weekend coming up for the RTT at the little car dealership. But I don't know for sure. I don't know. I think I'm probably going to lean more into Peerless and like Spectacle or Frenzied Host and Court just to kind of have, like, that was something that I was like, oh man, planning out this is pretty hard, especially when I can't make sure and guarantee all these kills because my dice rolls. I was rolling real hot and real bad. It's like I either roll extremely well or I roll extremely poorly. And I think for me, I need to figure out how to make things more consistent for me because that was my problem. It was consistency. Some of those games I would do well. Some of those games I would mess up my pledge count because I'm so used to being able to precision out the character, and you can't precision out the character anymore to get the pledge count. I think, unless there's an FAQ that I don't know about, right? But yeah, it's an interesting one. I will say, I think that since we are still in the early days of it, I think tournaments are still trying to figure it out. I will say playing the exact same mission 3 rounds in a row was rough. I don't really understand how that happened. I don't know why that happened that way. And it was rough. It was rough because like it just played take and hold all day. And it's probably mostly because everyone is just take and hold, right? So I don't know, but it was exhausting, especially after all of the crap that we had to deal with that morning, where I'm like, sorry guys, do you just want to give me my money? Do you want to give me my money back and I'll just sit in the back and pull out a table and we'll play all weekend and just not be registered to play, I guess? I don't know. Part of me wants to fire up the printer to get a second Baneblade to play the Bulgrin super heavy list, but everything I have heard is that it's a really simple list that is mostly a stat check. Yeah, but in all honesty, that's what did well this weekend. Like that's what did extremely well. Like I'm gonna be real. One of the dudes, the dude that I was when I gave my drunk speech at Texas Open and gave that chainsaw to was there, and that's what he was playing, and he was like, "I'm doing great." Stompas. Oh my god, there were actual orc stompas, like, and they were doing well. Like they were tabling knights with stompas. It was actually insane. Like it was a genuinely insane like turnout for like these lists. We're in a whole new meta now where like the old things that worked just don't work anymore. And if you have something like that's toughness 13 or tons of infantry, right? Like you can really put a damper. The big problems that I had is that every little infantry squad that I could get past, right? I killed all their tiny stuff, and then everything else was a massive brick. So I would look at it and go, I don't even have enough dice to kill that. I can't kill that with what I've got. Right. When I usually would run 2 little 5-mans and be able to kill stuff with it with lethals, but I can't do it anymore. I just don't have the damage output when it comes to some of these things. Like 2 bricks of Terminators is now pretty standard in T-Suns. And it's like, you give me 2 bricks of Terminators, I only have 3 damage on this strike, and there's not enough math to be able to do that. I think it's really hard to find a list that hits the balance between having a fun level of options so that you express yourself, be simple enough to play often, and then also just be pretty good. Yes, completely agree. I think a lot of that problem comes from the fact that when they try to balance stuff, they really don't look at how that thing interacts in the game, and they just go, okay, what's popular, what's getting played, what's winning the most, nerf it. Okay, what's in the good list? All right, make the points go up. And it's just it's almost like a natural selection, like a funnel, right? I can't remember what it's called, but like there's like whenever you're doing like production for food and stuff, you know, there's certain foods that have those funnels, right? And the whole thing is to basically like weed out any impurities because that's the size of basically the transfer pipe, right? Or whatever it is. And so anything that's not would get filtered out or whatever, right? That's kind of how they are balancing the game, right? Is where they are saying, well, we're just going to trim the fat, trim the fat, trim the fat, trim the fat. Well, the fat is the fun part. The fat is the narrative, right? The fat is I can bring 18 bikes and my white scars list and bring Sabodin Khan and have a good time, you know, even not it being the most competitive thing, but balancing the game only for competitive is getting to be a problem because then you get these players who are like, I bring 6 great unclean ones, you know, or 4 great unclean ones because Rodriguez. And then they nerf all of those. And then the casual player who's like, I bring 1. It's not that big of a deal. Like, I love the stepping that they're doing, but it feels like they haven't gotten a good grasp on the stepping. And it's the whole, like, it's almost like a natural selection, right? Where like the top lists can survive. And that to me just sucks, right? It's not a great way of balancing. If something's broken, I understand changing it. They also don't do a good job of changing things, i.e. the Thousand Suns defiler, right? Where they're basically, and commit Commissar Yard, right? Where they basically said, you know what? Overwatching on force is broken. Get a counter interrupt. And you're like, that's not the same thing at all. Like, just give them free Overwatch. Like, give them a 1 CP Overwatch. That's not a big deal. Like, you know, you already removed the feel no pain, which was a problem. Like, that's fine. You know, that's fine. Just you went too heavy-handed, and then you hit him with points. And then at that point, you're going, okay, well, you're taking the fun away from those things, right? The whole point of this is that things should be good on the table. If you're paying 350 points for a defiler, it should wreck some stuff, right? It should be really strong, you know? Same with like Fulgrim. Fulgrim is more expensive than a base defiler. And he sucks, right? Like he could either do really well or he could do really poorly. But at the same time, Shalaxi is cheaper and Shalaxi guarantees things. Like you're like, Shalaxi will do more damage guaranteed than Fulgrim every time. Every time. Every time. Right? And it's because in the thing that they have, it's like, well, we know that Slaxy is fun. Here's the fun parts about Slaxy. All right. Like, instead of looking at things and going, what's fun about this? Right? What's fun about this unit? Don't destroy what's fun about it, but then make it to where it's like, okay, well, maybe doing it on 4s was too crazy. Well, let's not butcher the thing. Let's make it so that it can still do why you bought it, right? But it's the whole thing about, in all honesty, GW has a really scammy way of doing like the way that they sell stuff, in all honesty. And the fact that multiple people, without me initiating this conversation, have gone, oh yeah, they got their money's worth out of the defiler, and then they hit and ran. To me is that shows very obviously that we all know what you're doing. And if you think that Kevin Roundtree, I know you're listening. I know you're listening to me right now. You think you guys are gonna get away with this forever? Like, it's not the first lawsuit you've ever lost. So I mean, it's just stupid. It's just dumb because you have a fan base that is willing to spend thousands on your shit. And you're like, be greedy and take more from them. And I'm like, you know how much more money you would make if you just weren't being POSs right now? A lot more. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to make money in this hobby. It's not. It's an expensive hobby. I think people are just getting complacent. And that's my problem with that. Oh, let's see these comments. Yeah, and that's the thing is I wish there were lists that were fun to play against, where you weren't feeling squeezed by the points, right? Because it feels like the points are squeezing. If Chosen are so broken, remove their ability and give them something else. Don't turn them into the worst thing in the game. Don't turn the Defiler into the worst thing in the game just so you can go, well, now the things aren't that bad, right? It's like, even then, like, Rhinos had to go down 70 points or down to 70 points, not down 70 points. That'd be crazy. 10 points per Rhino. Do it, GW. Make it 10 points per Rhino. But like, honestly, we could have named this stream Old Man Screams at Cloud, hoping GW will change, knowing they won't, right? But it is the reality of just like, that is the part of the game that sucks, is the part where somebody is basically going, you guys don't want this stuff. And we're like, yes, we do. We do want this stuff. And we want to play it for fun too, not just for competition, you know? Well, the guard is pretty deep in the hole. I wonder if we drop below 30% win rate or not this weekend. That is actually a good question. I don't think y'all did super well this weekend. Let's see. We're guard placed. So the top Astra player got 32nd. So not completely horrible, not the worst, but out of all of those, there were about 10 of them, which is also very indicative of how many people are playing. Let's see how they were doing on their list. And while I'm pulling that up, by the way, this dude, Clifton Murica Russell, I saw him around. He seems like a really nice guy. Before I talk about more of these comments, I will go over this, but I want to say his name on his list is so funny. It's, I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind him. They were given power over a fourth of the earth to kill by sword, famine, and plague by the wild beasts of the earth. 4 Baneblades of the Apocalypse. Literally, he put a quote about the literal 4 horsemen of the Apocalypse in his list. Yeah, only 10 guard players. That's where I was like, I saw that Emperor's Children was the most popular faction besides Space Marines. I went, oh, demons are getting a nerf. That's too many demons. And it was like mostly demon players, right? Demon players were a lot more. Yeah, and in all honesty, like you were saying, Shadow Sword, Storm Sword, 3 Tech Priests, and 2 Bane Blades. Bane Sword and Bane Hammer. Literally, that's the top list right now at LVO, was 4 Bane Blades.
That's where we're at right now with guard. 4 Bane Blades actually works. Yeah, you probably the interesting thing is I will say though, if you look at these, man, these guys played like he almost went undefeated. Good for him. But like 100 priority assets. Oh, this is an interesting. I think they're all different. I think all the lists are different. Also, I will so this is one that I will also show you as well, because I know you'll be excited about this. Somebody did bring a priority asset Scion base list, and that is the second runner up from Imperial News Network at 52. But yeah, like Dylan Weiss was like 252. I have heard that name before. So that's bad for them. That sucks. And it was like lost at a 91 point game. God, that's tough. That's rough. That's rough. Let me go back to some of these. I think them picking what is getting nerfed is the best explanation for why all the guard battle line getting hit and tank lists are we're still taking 3 to 5 squads. Then yeah, exactly. Honestly, if they basically cut Yarrick's abilities to just him getting up on death, which is ability, and cut him down to 70 points, yeah, getting up on death would be great. A good source of tank orders, absolutely. Okay. Another stream of another reel from Warhammer about their Q&A, which I'm like, guys, come on, this is lazy. Yeah, we've got a nice source of tank orders. Changing points to balance is the laziest option. Yeah. At least guard wasn't like the one Imperial Agents player. They didn't even make a top player trophy for Imperial Agents. Yeah. No, they didn't. Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. That's crazy that they didn't do that. That's kind of rude. The Baneblade variants are very good, which is why there is skepticism about it with the shift that they are putting with the Baneblade kit. Yeah, I'm gonna be real. I think they knew that the Baneblade stuff was gonna be good, and that's why they did that, right? Because they said, we know people are gonna go out and buy this. And they said, how do we make more money off of them? They said, how do we make more money off the Baneblade? Which is an insane sentiment. That's an insane sentiment to have, okay? How do we make more money off of what, a $180 kit it was? Or was it like 150? Still, either way, 180 and 150. Like, my God, that costs as much as a single video game at this point now. Which is also a diss on the video game industry. Old man screams at clown. But like, do we hear ourselves? How do we make more money off the Baneblade? Do you need more money? Like, what? Why do you need so much money? You're making so much stuff. Is Amazon TV show draining all of your budget? What is going on? You know, like, also, I'm trying to find this as well. Speaking of them trying to make more, yeah, it's like 190, and they're like, we want it to be 200. I'm like, you need $10 more for your plastic, and then you got to get the sponsons for 35, so it's now like 235, almost a $250 kit. That's as much as a starter box. Like, guys, don't punish the gamer. Why are we punishing the gamer? Why are we punishing the person who wants to build a Baneblade? Why are we punishing the people who want to play the game that you want us to play and pay money for? It's baffling, right? It's a good value for points, but it's a single model. That's what I mean. Like even if it is 500 points, how much is a Stampa, right? Like, how much is a Stampa on Warhammer Store? Warhammer Store. Give me Warhammer Store. Okay. Oh, it's so bright. Blinded. That button? They just didn't want to say they were raising the price by 50. Exactly. They know they're being shady. They know they're being shady. Like, that's the thing, is you don't act the way if you don't know. Like a Stompa, oh yeah, temporarily out of stock. So this one's not getting a new kit. It's 150. Like, that's what I mean. It's like when they talk about this stuff and they're like, oh well, we need the Baneblade to be 500 points. Okay, or $500. Okay, whatever. Like, so you're not going to increase the stomp up? Probably because they know they can't. Because if they did that, people would be like, how I'm going to 3D print this because this kit is not worth that much. Right? But at a certain point, like if they announce another price hike, at a certain point, they're just not like they're getting to a point where they think they can just increase the price over and over again because we'll buy it, I guess. But the problem is that that's not true. At a certain point, the hobby becomes too expensive and we 3D print. Like, that's it. Like that's it. That's the only thing that, like, in all honesty, that like really can change anything with that is like at a certain point they're going to hit their cost and we're going to go, no, sorry, that's too expensive. It's too expensive to do that now. I'm going to proxy stuff from other game systems. With plastic, how can you tell? Are you going to go and look at every single one of my miniatures and double check that it's correct GW plastic now? Because in all honesty, screw you. Like, you need more and more money. Guess what? I need more and more money. Okay, because I have to buy your stupid freaking plastic. And it's dumb. It's just a dumb, stupid way. And at some point, the returns are just not going to be there. And they're going to have to drop prices again. They're going to have to. Like, at a certain point, it's just going to be unfeasible for them to make money with the prices that they have. I can tell you how much I will be paying for my second Blade. That's what I like to hear. 0. Exactly. Like why? Like, it's ridiculous, At this point, they just have to be up to this point, they have been able to just raise the price. And that's the problem, right? Is that they've been raising the price for no reason. And like, in all honesty, in this day and age, with way that economics is going and shipping things overseas, they have to increase the price, right? When it comes to transportation and the cost of oil and the cost of all that, right? But they also increase prices when they had their best years, right? That is the problem, is that now if we were going to see a price increase, the biggest thing is we would go, guys, you shouldn't have done this 2 years ago. You should have waited until now when you really needed to do it. Because now when you say, oh, we really need to increase prices, that's when us as the audience go, yeah, that's what you said when you made $1 billion. Okay, sure. But whatever, who cares? They're gonna do whatever they want, and at some point they're gonna flop on that part, and that's fine. Where is the button? Where'd my other screen go? I was trying to pull up that list for us. Oh, it's because it's on the Stomper thing. God, I have too many open lists right now. But yeah, let us look at this. This is the most popular. This is the winning EC list from this year. Best EC list. 2 Defilers. There's a lot of flawless blades. Any Lucius at all? Yeah, Lucius with a 3-man. Heck yeah. Rise of the Challenge. I'm seeing Rise of the Challenge in my brain a lot more often. Rise of the Challenge is a enhancement that you can give to a Lord Exaltant and a little 5-man. Excuse me, sorry. In which he gets the ability, if there are 3 or more models around him, he gets to fight again. So you can't do it in like big monsters or big single tanks. But if like, man, I really needed to kill that Terminator brick, Rise of the Challenge gives you an extra set of fighting, which is super cool. I'm a big fan of this list. I actually want to run this at some point. I think the only thing that I would do is I would remove this Defiler and I would throw in like Tormentors and stuff, especially for priority assets, because I'm gonna be completely real. I don't know how they did any actions. I don't know how they did any actions without it being rhinos and flawless blades, in all honesty. The cost that GW is going to face is that they have grown the wargaming, and then made a bunch of gamers upset. Exactly. It's kind of like how I was saying with like I had a brain fart. I just went like my examples when I talk about the price of basically the entry, right? I consider the Armageddon box to basically be the release of their expansion, their video game, or whatever, right? And big noise. And then like, and it's the same thing. It's like, I mean, look at how much hate that Halo is getting when it came out, right? So many people are sitting there being like about it when there's really honestly not much. Like I played through all of Halo. I haven't finished the prequel missions, but Halo CE, the new one, Campaign Evolved, it's good. If you wanted to play Halo again and it not look like crap, it's great. Like you can still play the original one if you like the way the original one plays. But this was a good way for me to go and play with my girlfriend who'd never gotten to play through the original Halo games, and for me to share my childhood with her. Hi, buddy. No, we're not going out the front door. My cat likes to go out the front door and just see what's out in the hallway. But then when a person goes, yeah, one example is that, yeah, they'll face competition that has an audience of ex-Warhammer players. And the best example is we are actively seeing the Guard community getting drawn more to Conflict 47. That is interesting. I definitely want to take a look at that a lot more. I would love to write a paper about that. God, I'm such a nerd. But like when that came out, it got so much hate. I think the game is great. I think some of the prequel missions are a little whack. Not the missions themselves. They're designed super fun. Like I will say some of the dialogue in the prequel missions, I'm like, why are we arguing right now? Aren't we trying to get out of a Covenant ship that's looking at us with a giant eye? Why are we arguing right now? I don't think we would be arguing. Even if we were, maybe we wait until we're off the ship. Like you can have your conflict off the ship. Weird. But like, could you imagine if GW faced that kind of backlash when Armageddon dropped? Like, oh my God, you know, like, and in all honesty, that's actually the funniest thing is I was thinking about this too as I was discussing this and talking about this just now, right? It's actually kind of the reason why I'm a little bit excited for some of the Asmongold people to come in, because maybe they'll throw more of a fuss about some stuff. Maybe that'll do it. I don't know. Like, I'm intrigued on the fact that now it's keeping getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Now you're getting like very popular streamers like Asmongold to do it. I mean, my personal opinions about the guy is I don't like him. I think he's a dick, but whatever. I can't control who goes in the hobby, and I just want more people to be in the hobby. So for me, I don't know, but I'm like, I wonder if we just need to throw more of a fuss as an audience and do something about it. But the problem is that, I mean, if they release more Emperor's Children and stuff, I'm going to buy it. Man, this is why we call it plastic crack, right? This is why we call it plastic crack, is like, I'm straight up over here going, oh, I don't want to support it, but at the same time, I need my fix. Like, go support your local game stores. Go support your homies. That's the biggest way I would say about it. But I have talked a lot of negativity on this stream already. And what I want to do is I want to talk some positivity now. So we got a list submission. List submission time. So let's talk about some lists, because we're going to go into positivity time. So I will say thank you guys for enjoying and listening to the stream, even though sometimes I complain a lot. The reason I do complain is not because I just want to complain. It's because I care, right? And I really want to help facilitate the game that I truly love and want to get you guys the best experience. Also, by the way, I played 2 different interpretations of Hidden, and it changed every other game. I literally would ask my opponent, was like, what is your interpretation of Hidden, benefit of cover, how to go? I want to play it the way you play it. And I swear to God, I played it different every game. Every single game, somebody else had a different interpretation of Hidden. I played one where it was fully on. I played one where it was touching. Like goofy stuff. The real problem is that no matter how big of talk we talk, so many people will still rush through and every priority sells out instantly. Exactly. And the problem is too, is like, as much as I talk about it, as much as I would like to do something about it in that way of not doing it, like I said, if something Emperor's Children comes out, I'm gonna buy it because I want it and I'm gonna play it. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's the toughest thing of like, how do we do that? Exactly. We complain because we care. If we didn't care, we wouldn't complain and let GW run themselves in the ground and kill the setting we love. Perfect summarization, Saded. Perfect. Exactly. It's passion. It's the same reason why I complain about what FLG was doing. If FLG came out and said, hey guys, we messed up, we did some things that ended up being kind of crappy, to those players, we apologize. I'm gonna be real. That's all I would have needed. That's all I would have needed, right? Is them going, hey, man, we messed up. That was on us. That sucks. I hope we were able to fix it, with what we did. And that's it. That's all you need to do. Hey guys, this got messed up. We apologize for getting messed up. We're going to fix it this way. Hopefully this is good for y'all. And most people would be like, yeah, that's totally fine. Thank you for fixing it. Give us a little bit more time in between the rounds, whatever. I can forgive a lot of stuff as long as somebody acts like they care about what they did, but I can't forgive basic, just blatant disrespect in that degree. You know what I mean? Like somebody just saying like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, well, you don't get to decide whether that's a big deal or not. Okay. Like it's the same thing of when people are like, oh, well, my intention was, I don't give a crap what your intention was. Okay. Your intention could be the worst thing in the world. Your intention could be the best thing in the world. As long as you're apologetic about it and you've messed up, we can fix anything. But if your attitude is you don't care, then how am I going to care about your apology? And that's the problem, is they didn't care. And I'm like, okay, well, if you don't care, then why should people show up to buy your models? It's because your setting is so good and it sucks. They're really standing on the shoulders of giants and they're letting those giants down. John Blanche is rolling in his grave right now. I'm going to be real. All right. So we've got this list submitted from Saded. Do you have a name? Oh, it's Tinkering List. That's right. Tinkering. We're tinkering today. Carnival of Excess Elegant Brutes. Yep. So you hit it right on the head. This was a major spike in that. Like most people were playing that. And it's really good. It's really good. I even want to play it. I cured cancer so that the medical industry would lose millions of dollars. My evil spirit knows no bounds. Exactly. Like, it's the thing of like, guys, we can make money and also solve problems at the same time. It's silly. Like, I was like, man, if we get into the yeah, the name is Fuck You Gardefies EC, which I love. I also have a Gardefied EC list that is goofy, and I know Brian, if you're watching, you're gonna enjoy how much money I'm gonna spend at your store. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a problem. Emma's keeping me on a leash, but at that point, she's like, "Be free, enjoy your spending, have fun." And I'm like, "Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm gonna spend this much money right now." It's funny. I love it though. All right, so we've got Warlord, Demon Prince of Slanesh, Enhancement Warp Walker on Character 3, Keeper of Secrets. Okay, I see a lot of people doing that on the Keeper of Secrets. For me, I always do that on the Demon Prince, but I'm really curious because you do get that ability to spend 1 CP and give your basically advance and charge, as long as another Emperor's Children unit made it into combat with them. I wonder, since you just auto advance 6 with a 10-inch thing, that's probably more useful than trying to get the 20 inches so that you can get your guys to get there together. Because this is also what I see a lot, is a lot of people doing the Keeper of Secrets in the Warp Walker. Because my thinking is I always put it on the Demon Princes just because I want that advance and charge that I already have built in. But I think that even might be better making that a 285 point model. I don't know. I definitely want to see this tried out and see how it goes. Snapping Claws, Wit Stealer Sword, Ritual Knife. Yeah. Yeah, the Living Whip is cool. I like the Living Whip. But I feel like what they need is those extra attacks in melee. Because, I mean, you're going to run around and you're not going to be shooting this guy. You're going to be hitting him in melee. That's why you put the Warp Walker on him. So having those extra attacks, I'm a big fan of that. Big fan. That's a lot of demonettes. How many demonettes is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what I like to see. Maxed out demonettes. Hell yeah. And then we've got some tormentors with bolt guns. Nice. Okay. Honestly, that is not a bad idea. I mean, you've already got the melee with the demonettes. Why do you need any melee with the Marines when it comes to the little battle line guys? And then you've got 3 infiltrators that you could deep strike next to at a certain point. Yeah, you put that pressure out front that they have to go in, that hook, line, and sinker. I don't know. Being able to move 20 inches just to appear in the back line is a good threat. It really is. Like, and that's the thing, too, is that you can combo both of those, right? Because let's say like you roll a 6 on a Demon Prince with wings or something like that. Then it's way better to have that on the auto 6 for the Keeper of Secrets so that she can keep up. That's a great idea. I actually really like the 3 Tormentors. I actually am really, I'm thinking 3 Tormentors is going to be really good. Oh, I went down. Oh, we're very close to being done. That's crazy. And we've got 2 Chaos Terminators and we've got 2 Noise Marine units. Nice. My only question with some of these, because I see you've got these Demon Princes of Slaanesh, right? Oh, they go up 25, like 15 points for the other one. Ew, that sucks. I don't like that step up for them. Because I like this list a lot. And then with the Terminator, are you giving the Terminators the enhancement that they get from this one? Because one of the things I really like one thing I might do is cut down, because you have a Keeper of Secrets. I might cut down 1 unit of Demonettes and give all of the Terminators the sustained hits, because they have the enhancement. I think it's like 15 points per guy, or 15 points per unit to give them sustained hits on all of their attacks. By the way, it's all of their attacks. So the reason I do that and would remove 1 Demonette unit for that. Are you editing this right now? Am I just watching you edit this right now, or am I crazy? Are things changing, or am I crazy? I might be crazy. Somebody tell me if I'm crazy or not, but I might be crazy. But the reason I do that with the Terminators is because then you get them on critical 5s. That's why I like that with the Terminators, because that crit up is it is shifting. There's something moving on here. It's shifting. I don't know. Let's refresh this. Guys, I think there's a ghost. Daniel. I think there's a ghost in your list. I had the page a little bit like minimized so that it's not, you don't see the paleness of my face. Oh, that's fair. Yeah, you said you were on like hour 32. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna be real. For doing this on hour 32, this is a great list. I like it a lot. The only thing I would do is just give them that really cheap, making them, they're 160 points for base sustained hits on them. I am going to be kind of real. Maybe they just should have sustained hits because we can only take 5 of them. I think that's the other thing. I think Terminators are probably going to go up with the new data slate. I don't know how much they can make them go up because we can only take them in 5-mans, which to me is one of the most like, oh, that sucks kind of thing. It's just the fact that you really have to like keep them alive and do well in the pockets, which luckily with the way that you can touch on a terrain, if you do it that way, they can be really safe. But the problem is like if you do folium on, then you have to do very specific drops, right? And that's what makes the Terminators hard to deal with. But they're not bad. They're not bad. They're doing really good right now, in all honesty. I mean, 145 points. Yeah, getting reroll charges on the target they shoot is really good. Because also this one too, if they set up right, they get +1 to charge. So they get a true 8-inch deep strike charge, which is real nicer than a 9-inch. Especially when you can reroll that after shooting. Like that's a nice thing. Like they've got a lot. I will say the Terminators might go up in points specifically because the detachment gives them all the stuff they need. This is also the same one where they would get +2 strength. They can 1 CP. For 1 CP, they can also, I think it's 1 CP. I'm going to double check that, but they can give themselves a -1 to wound. Delight in agony. Yeah, it's only 1 CP for if you're stronger than them, -1 to wound. Also, one of my buddies was telling me that he basically had this experience at the LVO or LSO. Just to be as transparent as possible, when you do have a wound minus that is greater than the strength or whatever it is, the one that specifically, if your strength is higher than their toughness or whatever, it's -1 to wound. When you're telling your opponent that, be very specific because there are some flat -1s to wound on stuff. And I did hear about some players being like, oh, I didn't realize it was if my strength was higher, not just a blanket -1 to wound. So just be careful about that because there are some blanket -1s to wound. There are some where it's like, no, it's not the same way. So just be careful. Just be careful. But that one's a good one for them. -1 to wound on Terminators is really nice. +2 strength in fighting or in shooting. So they can have strength 10. Wow. And then at the end of the fight phase, you can pick one up. Like, it's great. Uppy downy Terminators and being able to attach it to any 2 DP one. And this is the other reason why I think Coterie is going to go the way of the dodo for a little bit, is just because that combo is really strong. And that's something I really like about this list too, is you do have 2 potential uppy downies, right? I mean, it's a little bit of an expensive one because you do have you have dark apparitions that you can do, which is 1 Demonette's unit that can then deep strike within 6 as long as it's within 8 of a friendly Emperor's Children unit, which is nuts. That's very cool. Being able to drop it, and I will say that's the reason everybody's bringing Demonettes, is because the Demonettes get a little bit more access to that one. Where's the other one? Sustained by Agony as well. You can get a Legions of Excess unit to regain 3 wounds for 1 CP after killing stuff, or D3 +3. Anyway, yeah. The minute you balance by taking hold out and giving it something like even priority assets, right, would make it a lot harder. And so, not like maybe tons harder, but like make it so it's not so much just drop and take, right? Because you can just deep strike and take a bunch of stuff. Especially with a lot of these elite lists that people are playing, I will say though, even with the 8 inches, it is still pretty easy. Even with the list I brought, which was decently elite, it was still pretty easy to screen out 8-inch deep strike. I don't think I had anybody deep strike in my deployment the entire tournament. So I will say that deep strike still is hit with the fact that deep strike is a little hard to do. But the fact is that Demonettes are a little bit easier to deep strike, and same as Keeper of Secrets, because that base is so much smaller. So that's a good one to do those drops with. Like I played against a Emperor's Children mirror match. Straight up, he was like, I'm putting Fulgrim in Deep Strike. And I went, okay, Fulgrim's not going to be on the table. I was like, Fulgrim's not going to show up then. Cool. I was like, Fulgrim's not showing up. But I'll be real. That was a fun match. That was a great one. That was a really cool one. He did get Fulgrim on the table at the very end, but he had to put it in his deployment zone. So that's the only thing I will say with Deep Strike and reserves is that it's still very easy to screen that stuff out, but it's not if you make somebody like really extend, and I think that these tormentors are that way of making sure that your guys can't get overextended, right? Where you can keep your Deep Strike pockets by extending your infiltrators. I like this list a lot. The Noise Marines getting sustained hits, they're baller. They are baller. I like this list, man. For 32 hours of sleep, this is a pretty good tournament list. I'm sure. I really wonder, can we find and see if somebody doing Emperor's Children? If I can spell. I was like, I want to see if anybody else did something similar to your list. Can I spell? I don't think I can. Okay. Priority assets, taking hold. There we go. Taking hold. The Sloppities. Let's see what Jeremy Gonzalez had. Demonettes. Chaos Terminators. Oh, they're just going double. Hey, they brought some Seekers. They're going double. That's the thing. I think the other problem with it is it's like the amount of stuff. I'm tired. I'm sorry. My brain is also a little fried from this weekend. Where am I? Wait, hold on. Where is that? Okay, there we go. Found it. We did it. I'm not crazy. Oh, thank you guys for bearing with me today. I am very tired. I have probably taken so much caffeine this weekend. I think I did over like 600 milligrams. It was a lot. Plus 6 squads of demonettes. Got a lot of board control for a hot minute. Two OC each. And I cannot tell you how much OC2 is important in this game now. I played against Tommy with Drukari for my last game. Where is it? Here we go. I played against Tommy. Super fun last game. One of the tightest games I have played in a long time. For 3 rounds, it was a 1-point difference between us. It was so close. And then Tommy had a great fourth turn killing me. Is it third or fourth? I can't remember. Great turn killing both my Demon Princes in one go. And that got them. They just hit that momentum perfectly. But one of the best played games I have ever played was this game. This one was insanely good. But yeah, they just had so many units to the point where it's like in the attrition battle, I just couldn't win it. I couldn't win it. Also, Drazar by himself is a beast. Like, they were doing so good, they forgot to bring their mandrakes back down. That's how well, like, the game was going for them. It was a crazy one. The minute they brought their scourges down and their shooting is just so good, there was just nothing I could do. It was just down to I rolled bad, but great one. And that's exactly what I see for this Demonettes list is the fact that you have all these OC2 guys because they had Cabalites, they had these, and there was like 10 OC2. And like, in all honesty, some of the ways that I was able to score points was because they would position things and take things off. And I went, okay, you took that off. All right. Did you intend to take that off? You did. Okay. Now I have more OC. All right, cool. Thank you, because I need some I need some help. You're gonna kick my butt if I don't have that. And it came out to be, I think it was like 84 to 75. It was super close, but it was so good. I learned so much about playing Drukhari with that one, where I was just like, I need way more action units if I'm gonna do a priority assets match. But like this one, I think what is Carnival of Excess? Carnival of Excess is like we should know. You've taken force disposition. What is it? We know what is it recon? I think it's recon. I don't know, man. I'm sleepy. Edit roster. It's disruption. That's what it is. Yeah, so it's disruption as well. And so even if you went into disruption, there's a lot of things that you can do. I see that. I saw that with your CSM list for the narrative that you guys are doing. You are very good at doing that. It's very impressive. I'm going to be honest. That's definitely something that I've learned from you playing, because I'm like, big Death Star. Give me big elite stuff. Give me big crab. And I go, why are my unit dead? Why everybody dead when I exposed everybody? What happened? What did I do? What did I do wrong? And the answer was everything. I did everything wrong. Oh, I think in all honesty, I think that we're gonna see this for a long time, unless they nerf it real quick. And if they nerf it real quick after a month, I will then hopefully say that maybe they're just being a little bit more active about it. It is just a big counter strategy. It's a great strategy. It's a great strategy. I mean, it's the reason why you see it used in actual military conflicts, because it works. It works. I mean, if you can't outlast the opponent, there's nothing that you can do to win the game. It's all about attrition, right? Like, my biggest problem was that I was so worried about what they were going to do to my Defiler that I was not sending stuff out to go and attack stuff fast and going and hitting those targets. I was just like, action, 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 action. Okay, action, 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 action. Maybe I can just action my way into the game, right? And the problem was, then at the last turn, they went, all right, action, 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 action. I went, oh, crap. You scored all of your secondaries perfectly now in the last 2 rounds, and you've scored big points on the back end because you just outlasted me. And if I can't survive until round 4, which I landed until round 5, but my problem is that now all I had was the big crab, and the big crab was just sitting there, and he wasn't able to do any abilities. And luckily we were playing such a fun game, and Tommy's just such a great opponent. We were both working together to make sure that both players were doing the best that we could. That's why the game was so close, because we were all like, it's like, hey, do you want to do that? Do you want to do that? Do you want to do that? And he was like, do you want to do that? Do you want to do that? Do you want to do that? It was great. Yeah, like, if you can't, like, I couldn't make it because I had my crab lip and I had my spawn. I was like, all right, score with the spawn, kill everybody else. That's it. That's all I can do. But yeah, game ended with 75 points. I'll take that as a win, especially after not playing in this super major in a long time. I also will say that LBO or LSO is a lot sweatier than the Dallas Open when it comes down to how people are playing. I think it's because of the fact that it's not a Dallas Open GT, right? Because with the Dallas Open, they attract so many, just everybody, right? New players, veteran players, professional players, everyone, which is great. It's one of the reasons I love the Dallas Open. I love that new players feel confident and want to come and play in it. I wish they would come and play LSO if they wanted to. If FLG would actually not, or FLG would do stuff and not make us all crazy, because it's really cool to get to see new experiences and see people who want to learn about the game and want to get better at it and do all that. It's awesome. Super cool. That's why with like a lot of this stuff, like, it makes sense that, like, for this event, it's a little bit harder because everybody here is like, all right, time to go for the gold. In my experience, most players build and play to run in, smash targets, and win through scoring after the enemy is shattered. Yeah, exactly. A lot of us, I think, get into this game from video games like that, and like I think one of the things that does is it also gives us this mentality of like, well, you have to completely dominate the opponent in order to win the game, right? That includes winning every fight that goes on, making every trade that's perfect, right? When, like, in all honesty, in the first 3 rounds of that Drukari game, I was like, I think I've got this. We're 1-2 points. If I can keep holding on and keep surviving and keep doing this, I think I've got this. And unfortunately, I didn't play the rest of it super well, and they got me. They got me good. They lasted a lot longer than me. So it's one of those mentalities where it's like it's that all or nothing mentality for video games, where it's like people who go and they'll like perfect the game, right? Or be like, even multiplayer encourages you to be at the top of the leaderboard, dominating every other person, right? And with that, like, Warhammer is not that game. Even though there's a lot of players in the top professional that would say that it's that game, but it's not. It's not a game about dominating every single game. Like, if you win every single game at a tournament, you did a great job and you're one of the best players. If you went 3-5 at a Dallas Open, like me, you did a great job, right? That's a great record, like, for somebody who is just going and playing, right? Even me, like, I don't do the best at all periods of time every single time, but when I do well, like, like, you know, it's very apparent, and I go, all right, cool, the dice were great for me this day. And like, because it comes down to the fact that we're also playing a dice game. You know, it's a dice game. Like, that's another thing that's very easy to forget. Like, I was talking to one of my good friends that I played against. His son was also playing in the tournament. Great kid, nice guy. And the kiddo, you know, was playing T-Sons and doing even better than me at the tournament, right? Kid is genius, you know, kid's really good at playing. And at one of his games, it was like a couple of points difference. It was a close, I think it was like 82 to 84 or something like that. It was like so close, right? Like, it was so close in the game. And he was upset because he went, yeah, we didn't completely understand the mission. And if I really understood how many points I was getting, I would have won. Which, in all honesty, I feel like at that point, that might have been on his opponent to be a little better, to help him out. Because, come on, like, if you're gonna cheat him out of the score because of the mission, right? Not a tactical error, that sucks. But I don't know exactly what happened because I wasn't there. But even when I was talking to him, I was like, man, like, you're doing great and you have a great attitude, and that's the biggest part of this. Like, every time the judges came over at the back tables on Sunday, they were like, man, you guys are having a great time. I'm like, yeah, dude, nothing matters anymore. We're here to play Warhammer, see how high of the score we can get, see what it does to the ITC for us. And that's it. That's it. That's it. And even if that, right, like, even if it doesn't increase my ITC score, does that make me less of a person or less of a player? No, it doesn't. Like, you know, I still have you guys, you know, that come and watch my streams and can get some useful information out of me. Even if I go to a GT and I'm so jacked up on caffeine, I forget half of the stuff that I need to do, you know, where it's like, we can still work even if I'm not a top player, or, you know, somebody in the chat wants to talk about their experiences and wants to share their knowledge, you know, even if they're not a top player, I want to hear it. It's important. We should all be sharing our own experiences and doing that stuff, because being a top player isn't what makes this game special and why you should be here. Being a top player is just a benefit of this, right? It's just cool. If you can get to that level, that's awesome. If you can't, who cares? Show up and play. We love it. You know, it doesn't matter either way. I have stolen the mindset from Morty that I play in 3 waves. 1 wave, I expect 80% casualties. Wave 2, I expect 66% casualties. And wave 3 should barely hit 20% casualties. Interesting. I like Morty and stuff. I need to watch a lot more of his stuff and Glacials, because love Glacial. I just don't watch as much YouTube anymore, in all honesty, when it comes to like anything. Because he's also got Glacial's got some really great videos about mindset and competition, especially coming about tournaments. Great video. I also recommend Tabletop Tactics. I also recommend their Tabletop Tactics new hour-long discussion about player etiquette. And one of the really cool things about it is, even watching it, there were some things that even me, I went, oh man, there's some player etiquette stuff that I could probably work on too. You know, definitely check out that video. It's a great one about etiquette, because that's the biggest thing, is that we're doing, it's a social contract, right? Like even video games are that sweaty cesspool of like, the voice chat. So you don't really have that same social contract at times, but you still do, and especially in an in-person tournament event, because problem is that we have to, make sure we're keeping each other accountable and on track, right? I'm trying to work on the mindset of first and foremost being a good opponent, and secondarily trying to be a good player. Exactly. If you try and be a good opponent first, you will become a good player. That is just how it will go, right? And you know what? If people don't make it to the top tables, well, I keep hearing reports of not great things up at the top tables. So to me, it's like, well, if that's the way that this is going right now, then that's the way it's going, But I've gotten myself, and I'm not trying to brag, I'm a little bragging, but not trying to brag. I've gotten myself to a point where I have a very good connection of community when I go to these events. And it's not because I'm going out there and going, I'm the best, I'm so good at the game. I'm over here going, I play my pink boys and I'm ready to get destroyed. Like, I'm here to have fun, And even when I'm losing, like, one thing that I try and do, especially at tournaments, I'm not the greatest at doing this at home. I try and be better at tournaments. I need to be better at doing this at home too, during casual games. It's just being like, hey man, if you destroyed my rhino, hell yeah, dude, get it, right? Good job. While inside I'm going, oh no, right? Like, it's okay to have that, oh no, and understand that things are going well or going bad or going poorly. Also, it's okay to get frustrated. Just vocalize it. Man, that was frustrating. That sucks. Dang it. Right? As long as you vocalize your complaint with a smile on your face, I'm going to be real. Those people are just like, you'll get it next time. You're like, yeah, don't worry about it. I played games where I went, I'm going to score 32 points. Because I would get, in the second round, I swear I'm not using the app to draw randoms anymore. Also, don't use the app to draw randoms. I swear to God, I got outflanked and behind enemy lines round 2 every single game. Every single game, I got outflanked and behind enemy lines in round 2. And I went, I cannot do that. I cannot do that. It was so bad. And then that would always put me behind. Freaking. But I feel like the general plan is that people run a screening line optional, fancy elite units, and then 2 to 3 objective humpers / action guys. Yeah. So like for me, like what I do is for my Emperor's Children, I kind of do the same thing as waves, but it's a little bit less of like waves and casualties, right? It's more of like I have my infiltrators. I set my infiltrators in places to go do actions, go take things like plunder and stuff like that in the first turn. And the other goal of putting them out there to do that is also to say, hey, if you don't come closer to me and fight this thing, I'm going to be able to go and do actions and do whatever I want, right? And then when that person goes, okay, I'll take that bait and I'll take that hook, right? You've moved out to a point where I'm going, all right, cool. Well, you killed that unit, but you're right there. And now it is a cool 1-inch charge for me now, because I've got my back line right, is that second wave that you're doing. But the point is less of like that second wave should be less casualties. It's more of just, okay, then what can I take with that second wave, right? If I'm playing coterie, that's normally when I would go, all right, cool, 3, pledge 4, because a lot of those would have the characters attached. Now those are only worth 2. Sucks, but it's fine. But like, that's how I do it there, where it's very similar. But I use a lot of my like I use my infiltrators as the hook, and then what I'll do is I'll take my spawn and my rhinos and go, okay, the spawn and the rhinos are the second wave of action people, right? Who are doing their actions and stuff. So what I would usually do with them at that point is then just move those rhinos around, maybe put some noise marines in them, and then have a second wave of action people to go and do stuff too. Because I expect my infiltrators to probably die because I'm putting them in positions to want you to go into places so that now I can set up and say, all right, cool. Set up there. Now I can come and get you really easy and set up to those almost unfailable charges. Like I think the only time I failed charges this weekend was when I was coming in from reserves because I was 8 inches away. Other than that, I didn't have to worry about it, right? Like something I found difficult with playing mono Harlequins is that having to decide I'm sorry, I can't talk to that. Difficulty, I have found I'm like the coyote from Roadrunner, just like I'm about to fall off the cliff. Something I've found difficult with playing mono Harlequins is having to decide for myself which infantry units will do what, since I'm limited to one non-character infantry unit to do every job. Yeah. So that's the problem with like mono Harlequins and armies that don't have a lot of variety. Even EC doesn't have tons of variety, but we do have things that are obviously tailor-made for some purposes because we are an army that was built for the end of 10th and probably 11th, let's be real, which is why we just translated so well into 11th. And that's the problem with mono Harlequins, is that mono Harlequins are running off of rules from other editions, in all honesty. They're kind of moving back, right? Where it's like, what do we do? This is a kit from 3 editions ago, and we're not going to make a new kit for them. So we have to find a way to make this work with the way that we were doing things back in the past, which is weird. And that's where you then have, funny enough, you sometimes then have more flexibility with the fact that you have the mono Harlequins to do the actions, right? Because sometimes I have to go, I really would like to charge with that, but I have to do the action. So I can't do that, right? And that's the tough thing. So sometimes that can be a benefit. Sometimes that can be a negative. So like guardsmen, right? Guardsmen, the whole big thing of them doing actions was being a big unit, right? Being that big unit. Now it's super expensive to be that big unit. But my Harlequins, on the other hand, you're like, I've got a 5-man for what? How much is your 5-man? Yeah, you do have to use more in-game brain power. Something that you can do in order to do that, right, is planning out. Yeah, 85 for a little 5-man squad. That's still a lot. But like what I would do for something like that is I would plan that out when you are deploying and when you're building your list, right? I would start when you're building your list and say, okay, what do I want this thing to do, right? Like tormentors are very good shooting for Marines, like bolters and a plasma and a melt-a-gun, right? Like that's a really good set of shooting for a basic bolter squad. If you look at intercessors, they get a grenade launcher and a better melee weapon, but that's it, right? They get that thunderhammer. I think they can give them thunderhammer for their sergeant, right? But their shooting isn't really as like, it's not a plasma gun, it's not a melt gun. You know what? Like doesn't have the flexibility to do that stuff. But I don't shoot them specifically because I like hidden. I want the hidden for them when they infiltrate. And most of the time, I would usually rather want my melee guys to go in and fight rather than having my tormentors go in and fight, because their data sheet ability for the infractors is a more melee one, right? That's one that where I prioritize and see on there where I have to go and say, okay, I need that to do this purpose and that purpose. So whenever you're building your list, you can go, okay, I have a 5-man squad, a 5-man squad, and a big 10-man squad. The 5s are meant to be throwing out and going and doing actions while the bikes are behind them shooting and covering them, right? And you can even decide when you're deploying, hey, how do we get this over there? Like I've changed up how I scouted every single game. I would put units up towards the top of the map. I'd put units towards the bottom of the map. I'd put 2 in a rhino. I'd put 1 in a rhino, right? And that was how I would do that, is I would change it up and see which things worked, right? Like some points I would put spawn at the bottom. Sometimes I'd put spawn at the top, right? Because the spawn could move 10 inches and do an action, you know? So that's something that we're in those parts where the in-game part, right? The tough thing about in-game is that in-game, you should have a plan based off the list you've built for the mission that you play, right? If you're playing priority actions, you know you're going to do some actions. So you should build a list that has some units that you have in your brain as, I can't use these to fight. These are meant to do the actions every turn, right? That's why I put 2 tormentors and a spawn and a rhino in the list. Because half the time the rhino does an action, right? Because you can sit there and he can put out 2 OC on something and do that, you know? And like, to not make this the super long-winded discussion of how to play Harlequins, because we're going to talk about that today as well when we play our game. But like, that is a big thing about that, is planning ahead of the game and when you build your list, right? When we're talking about Sadid's list here, you know, he's got a plan for these 10 demonettes already, or 6 demonettes. That's why he's put them in the list, right? Planning is valuable. Plans, however, are worthless. Exactly. Have a plan, or like your quote, as you say, Sadid, we really need to stop making plan C the main plan. It's exactly that. Expect your plan to potentially fall apart, but at least when you go into the game, you're not going, what am I going to do round 1? You already kind of know what you could do. Like I send a lot of my infractors scouting into the center. The reason why is because if you get center ground the first turn, you have to kill that unit to get it. You have to kill that unit to get it. That's why I do it every time. And it gives an obstacle. Also, don't forget, another really good part of planning, and especially with doing actions and stuff, is putting obstacles in your opponent's way, right? Because the best part about scoring stuff is sometimes not letting your opponent score stuff too. It's very interesting. Especially now that we have pre-planned primaries, I need to come up with actual plans for my list instead of just hoping for the best. Exactly. Right? Like, and then in all honesty, that was also not to diss. That was also your problem in 10th edition as well, is that you're an insanely good player, right? When you get in the game, you have very good ability to read the temperature of the game and go, how do I need to make this work for me? But you go in without any idea of what you want to do with certain units. And so now whenever it comes down to it, you just go, okay, well, I always see you have 2 sets of bikes. They're like 1 unit of bikes, 2 of them in the back, just sitting in the back, and they never move. And I always comment on it. I go, why aren't you moving your bikes? Because you don't have a plan for your bikes at the beginning. You didn't say, okay, what do I want these guys to do? These guys are going to go shoot Nick's monsters and vehicles. Cool. Anytime I deploy Demon Prince, you should go, how do I get to that? How do I get to the Defiler? How do I get to that with these guys, right? And I think once you doing that, right, that'll help you out a lot more in understanding where your game plan is going to go, because you now say, okay, well, I know what I want this unit's archetype to be. How do I make that happen in the game? Then becomes a lot easier, because now you're looking for a specific path rather than going and saying, all right, I've walked into the woods. Somebody tell me where to go, right? And letting the environment affect your decision making rather than, I have a plan, right? And basically having the environment totally affect your planning and your decision making rather than having it partially affect. That makes a little bit more sense in my brain. Let me know if it doesn't make sense at all, because I'm also convoluted on how I talk. So let me know if that makes any sense at all. Losing center ground in the infiltrate really sucks. Yeah, especially with EC where we can infiltrate into it, but then also we can scout onto it too with that 6-inch scout move for a very scary unit of infractors. Like again, my feeling with EC when it came to like this weekend of me not doing super great, partially is because I felt like I was playing too much of my 10th edition stuff. And I think I need to abandon the way that I was playing 10th edition and really think about how I'm playing 11th edition because it's very different now. And even though it can still work at times, when I get to those top stuff, I really need to change that because at a certain point, it's not working to fix all of it, right? Like it's one of those things where I have to change my game plan. Because even though it's a good game plan, it's not good enough to counter everything that I can't expect, right? Even playing elves, like the games was a lot better because I have practice against elves more often than anything else. But it was still one where Tommy's just an insanely good player and knew their army better, probably knew their list better than I did, than I did myself. So they had a really good game plan and they stuck to that game plan. I unfortunately did not stick to my game plan and I had to do some things in the first turn because of my secondaries to where I went, if I can just get ahead early, I might be able to hold on to it. And the problem was I just did not have the resources of what I was trying to do. That's the biggest problem with some of these things is understanding your resources and then understanding what your opponent can do is also two very difficult things that is something that I think all players are still even learning themselves. It's a tough one. It's definitely, this game is not easy. Like this game is not easy at all. Like this is not an easy game. This is a very, very hard game. It's insanely hard. It's why you end up seeing a lot of people end up either cheating on accident or even cheating on purpose is because the game is hard and it's punishing. Like if you don't know what you're doing, the game will punish you in ways that you will not expect, right? Like recently, I've played against all sorts of stuff this weekend. I also didn't play against any Marines this weekend, which thank God I didn't play Blood Angels again. I played Thousand Suns. I played Demons. I didn't play any Blood Angels this time. So I was like, okay, cool. I didn't play the exact same things again in a tournament. I played new stuff and stuff. But like, even when I was, playing against those, the game is different now. The way that you want to play the game is different now. So when I even looked at the way I was playing, I had to look at it and go, okay, I have to change up how I play because this doesn't work for me. And as much as I can try and make it work, it's not going to work in the way that I really want to. So I need to figure out something else that I can actually do and actually feel confident about. And so then when I get into those situations, I'm doing what I like to play and not what I see on the internet, because the people who play on the internet, right, and show off their list, that's what they're good at. But if that's something where you're just wanting to play what they're playing, it might end up being a thing where it's not good for you just specifically because of that fact. You know what I mean? Problem I run into with guard is that I spend a lot of points making a screening wave, but then everybody is so lethal that they're mostly able to just walk across the board. And I've really struggled to find a solution other than 18 Bulgrim. Yeah. And that's why I think it's the Baneblade situation, right? Where it's now that the Baneblade is why people having to bring those in is because they don't have something that they can go, I'm gonna just get folded, right? Like that's the same reason I still bring a Defiler. I need something that won't fold, right? In 1 to 2 rounds of shooting. And I also will say, man, like Fulgrim versus 6 flawless blades and Lucius. Oh my God. Like what a difference night and day. How many points is that? Because Lucius is 120 now. That's the other thing. I'm like, Lucius is probably going to go up in points. But also, that's the hard thing about EC is you sit there and you're like, well, what are you going to replace this with if you just point cost us to hell? At a certain point, you're just going to have people not playing the army. 190 for 310 points, 40 points less than Fulgrim. I one-shotted a Defiler. Like crazy stuff. But I feel like it feels like everyone else has just been power creep to the point where a guard squad cannot hold to survive. And I agree. Especially like, and that's the thing is when people were like, well, I brought this many to break the game. And to me, I'm just like, well, if you're doing the step, why are we not just stepping it up? Excuse me. Stepping it up at that point, right? Where it's like, where's the point that breaks the game? Okay. Set the limit just before that, where it's like, you can't do that. Okay. Infantry, you have a limit of this many wounds. I don't see the problem with that. The problem with that for them, though, is that that's just more work and they're not willing to do that work. And I think that is the biggest problem with a lot of that stuff is that, you know, you're suffering power creep as a punishment for ways to play an 11th edition or 10th edition, but at the same time, they're not also focusing on the power creep for other things, right? Because of new units coming out or new codexes or things like that, you know, where it's like we're looking at boys being 75 points, the same price as guardsmen, and we're like, that's not good. 10 boys is the same amount as 10 guardsmen. That doesn't seem right, you know? And like, it comes down to a design philosophy. It also comes down to a gameplay philosophy where it's like, if you're not willing to really balance it by either changing the way that units play or by changing the points in a realistic manner, right? Where it's like, okay, what's the real problem with this? Then you're just going to end up with people being unsatisfied and going, well, there's no way to play the way I want to play, right? Like, in all honesty, I would not want to play 4 Bane Blades. I just wouldn't. Like, I just wouldn't want to play that. I just wouldn't want to do it. Like, to me, it just seems like a lot of work to move 4 Bane Blades around and just be like, oh, I'm touching 3 objectives with 1 Bane Blade because Bane Blade, you know, right? And to me, I'm like, I wouldn't want to play 3 Bane Blades, but that's how I have to play it right now because they've, conspiracy, put the tinfoil hat, call Valrak. What if they made the guard more expensive so that people were forced to go to the Bane Blade so that they knew that they were going to increase the price on the Bane Blade and then they funneled everybody into the Bane Blade? That sounds actually sounds about right. That sounds like something they would do. So it's the thing of the problem where when the game itself is already pay to win. Like, let's be completely real. I mean, you have to buy each unit. And if you don't if you don't own a defiler, you don't get to play with a defiler. Like, the game is pay to win, you know? Like, yeah, that's why I went and pre-ordered both of my defilers the day they came out because I said I have a tournament in a month and I have to have these to play because if I don't have them when they're 250 points, I will never get to play them at 250 points. And that's the realism of it, you know? We got to compare 4 moving Bane Blades compared to moving 120 infantry and 6 tanks. Yeah, and I don't want to do that either. That's why I don't play guard. That's why I don't play guard. I don't want to do that either, right? Like, I have a mass infantry list that I'm planning on playing at some point, and I'm not looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the memes it will cause, but I'm not looking forward to, all right, let's move these guys, let's move these guys, move these guys, move these guys, move these guys, because I'm a yapper. I'm a professional yapper. That's why I can talk for over 2 hours and not have a single break without it me being right brain dead, is because I can yap for freaking hours about this stuff. And I cannot play Horde armies because if I play Horde armies, it will be something where you need to call a judge on me for yapping. Like, straight up. I've actually even caught myself going, if you think I'm yapping too long, please call a judge because I need you can tell me. I'm very good at talking and I'm really having a good time. I probably also would need to get some movement trays, I think movement trays would help me out a lot, the little magnetic ones. Sponsored by Moving Magnetic Trays for moving magnets. Pay me. No, I'm just kidding. There's no sponsors on this stream. I wish there was. If you guys want me to sponsor me, come on. I'll talk about your product. Please give me money. Just kidding. I will talk objectively though. You can't pay me, and I might say some mean things. No, I'm just kidding. Nah, I'm just kidding. But brain farty, brain no work anymore. But like, yeah, I probably would enjoy it. I will say I probably will I will try and be practicing with more armies coming up soon. Um, especially since I'm going to be able to play my EC a lot more at these tournaments. So I will be able to get to play some more at home. So I'll be trying to do some more actual like long form content about content. I don't know how that sounded. About like other armies and stuff too. I'm still trying to work out some other filming techniques for like battle reports and stuff like that. So still gonna figure all that stuff out, but I'll hopefully be able to try it. Movement trays are a mixed bag. They help, however, you do to leave them like round 2 and get proper movement gun. Oh, that's not a bad idea. They're nice for deployment. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I know some people are just like prop, and I'm like, that's fine. I know. I will say though, it is some of the funny things about the small tables is that you do see some of the slop. I've seen some pretty sloppy playing out there. I will be real. Definitely had one situation where like somebody was moving stuff and they were putting their bases on top of the other bases. I'm like, my guy, you're gonna kill my stuff, and now you're throwing more stuff into there, and you're like putting bases on top of bases. Dog, like you can't do that. I'm not arguing it's the last game, but like, come on, you know, like things like that where it's like, yeah, but who cares because we're at the bottom table, but at the same time, like, you know, it's tough. I think we're all trying to work on it, and like I think we're all tired from just trying to figure all this stuff out. And this is why FLG needs to be better about doing all of that, because they're tiring all of us out when we have to play complicated games, and then we get sloppy if we're all tired. You know, you have to organize your models differently though. You aren't sorting them by unit, but by profile, and just adding the right amount of which when you deploy the unit. That makes sense. That makes sense. I feel like with like EC, the best way is to do that with like the tormentors to get that practice. So I might try that because at least at that point, it's 2 meltas, 2 plasmas, right? And that's the things I need to keep alive rather than just having the bolters. Organizing by unit like you normally would is a massive pain. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's the tough thing about stuff like that, where it's like it's just you're playing a different game, right? It's a different ballpark at that point. It's almost like when kind of like knights show up, right? It's like I was in the elevator with 2 night players as we were coming back up to the parking garage last night. And one that was leaving the thing as we were chatting, I was like, oh, he's like, well, I feel like shooting is so much better now. Elevator doors closed. Turn around, there's another another night player, and she was like, I completely disagree with that. As a night player, she was like, I don't agree with him at all. And I was like, you know what? That's the thing, is that we all have so many different opinions about which things are harder and which things are better. It is really funny where we're at right now at that point. You do find yourself cutting off some extra profiles that don't help, like a bolt pistol compared to a las pistol when the unit is mostly filled with las guns. It makes sense. It's like in all honesty, like I could, like there's times where I'm like, I could shoot my bolters with precision at you, and I might, but like there's a lot of times where I'm like, I'm gonna shoot the melta, I'm gonna shoot the plasma gun. Do you want to shoot anything else? There's not time really, and it's not going to do anything. So there's not really a point. If it doesn't have a lethal, then there's not a point to shooting a 4 strength bolter gun with 0 AP unless I need to kill that thing. Like shooting into a fully wounded target, you're like, not gonna worry about it. Like, not gonna worry about it. I think also I might try and play some court and frenzied at some point because I think EC having a blood surge is really good and really strong for especially that shooting of just being like, get me in combat. Because I almost dealt with that where I tried to precision out a character and went, oh, I'm not shooting him. I forgot he has blood surge. I'm not shooting that. But yeah, it's interesting. After playing LSO, I will say what I feel about the meta is it is super up in the air right now. I think stat check is always going to be a thing right now until there's some ways of changing that. But stat check is always going to happen. Stat check is still kind of the way of like getting to the big top tables of the tournament where you're just having to stat check your opponent, right? But big infantry lists are doing way better. I'm gonna be real. I find that now 10 bricks are now the choice, right? When we used to play in 10th, a lot of the choices was 5-mans. That's not the case anymore. It's maxing out those squads as much as you can, especially if you're going to attach a character to them. Because if your opponent doesn't have precision, they have to kill all of it to get those characters now. And you can't separate those things out. And it's really nice. I may commit my off games to tinkering and trying to play a proper combined arms style guard army. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, it's especially when you're tinkering and doing that stuff. It is also really good, especially when it comes to like this, to also like talk to your opponent too, and like get on the same page of like, hey, I'm not bringing something super sweaty and competitive. I'm trying to build this, like, you know, because especially with those off games, right? Like, this is the time to go and be playing weird stuff, since we're in this weird, you know, point where we really don't know exactly what's fully going on with some of these rules and some of these things that are messed up. So like, definitely, I would definitely recommend just trying and tinker with it and just see how it plays, even playing the stuff that people says is bad, right? Like, I really recommend going out and looking at the different options, because I know everyone is all going crazy over Carnival, but I have some crazy lists that I played where I'm like, I win 100 points this one, and you would not expect this, right? So like, even me, I'm planning on bringing some unconventional lists with some unconventional um detachments that I like and I like playing, and they've got some things that I look at and I go, I want that, 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 right? And to me, that is where we are at, and what is a good thing about 11th right now is that there is so much room for new lists, creativity, new detachments, new combos, and I think they're all going to be really interesting. Well, today's been a very action-packed, very discussion-filled live, but at some point, I do have to get some more work done so I can get you guys some long-form content. So I'm going to head out for now. Thank you guys for coming and watching. Before I head out, is there anything else we want to touch on before I leave this? Before we stop the stream, anything else that you guys have in your thoughts that you want to talk about? Anything else from LV or LSO that I can answer for you? Anything and like that? I'll give you plenty of time to type. Don't worry. Fill the comments with any questions that you have real quick. I'll answer as many of them as I can, and then we'll cut this off. So that'll be the last thing that we'll do. K47 stream when? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. I need to figure out a time. I'm kind of busy on the weekends this coming up. I need to figure out some time, because we need to get together, and I want to do a little bit more deep diving and understand K47 before I want to do a stream about it. But maybe if we can do like maybe a combo stream or something like that, we can maybe do something there. I'll keep you posted about that one. It's definitely happening. I just don't know when. Hopefully we'll get it done in August. If not, I will do one in September. I'll do one in September, the beginning of September for sure. That will be a good time after all of those to do that. And then in September, I'm going to potentially go down to Houston for another tournament that people are telling me about. Don't know for sure, but September, October, I'm probably going to be a little bit more free. Right now, I'm technically playing. Right now, I am set up to play it. Where is? Oh my God! Why can't I do? So, dude. So right now, this is what I've got booked. So August 15th, I've got something that I'm potentially doing in RTT. August 9th, I'm planning on doing an RTT, and August 22nd, I'm planning on doing an RTT. So there's a couple of these, you know, depending on like how it ends up going, but like, right. So like going up there, you know, all over the place. Time to mess with. Will you make a video about kit bashing the battle line box with 30k legionnaires? Sure, absolutely. Yeah, the Infractors battle line box. Sure, I will absolutely. I honestly want to do more kit bashing, and I want to do more. I I want to do more kit bashing, and I also want to do more what's it called? Painting videos as well, because I'm really proud of all the painting that I'm doing. As we can see, I've done more work on the Lord Exultant with the guitar, and I'm gonna have a tutorial out for this guy soon. I'm gonna teach you guys how I made this. Don't note the sticky fingers on the bottom of the bass. I need to repaint that. But I think I also want to start doing some of these too, because I do think at a certain point I'm pretty good with these fluorescent colors, and there's some things that I could do with that too. But yes, I have in all honesty, I would get up to show you how many boxes of Legionaries that I have. But I'm gonna be completely real and honest with you guys. I'm not wearing pants right now. I'm not wearing pants. I've got short shorts on, and I don't know if you guys want to see any outlines of anything. So I'm not gonna do all that. But here's a Lucius box. But yeah, I've got tons of MK3. I've got tons of MK Beaky helmet, MK6. Yes, MK6. Corvus armor. So I'll make some tutorials on that. I also might make a little tutorial about how I kit bash my Space Wolves, because I am a big fan of how I kit bashed this guy and my Terminator Lord that I did, and it was very simple. Beaky's are MK6. Okay, good. I got that right. Yeah, because it's all the Beaky guys. Because it was during the heresy, Emperor's Children had more Beaky Corvus armor because they were a favorite among the Emperor, and so they got a more advanced power, a little bit more advanced power suit, which is also the reason why in the new 40k stuff, why we have the way our armor looks that way, because it's all converted MK4 or MK6. So yeah, so I think that this week I'm gonna work on the video for doing that. I think the Malerfiend video is doing okay. Still working on that, but I'm gonna be completely real. I don't think I played the Malerfiend super well this weekend, so I'm worried about how my tips and tricks might not be the greatest for it. So I'm gonna try and redo some work on the Malerfiend video, because I really don't want to put out a video that has bad information in it, or has something that where even I don't believe in what I'm saying anymore. So I'm not, that one I need to rework, because I tried to put him in reserves and basically have him be a distraction, and the reserves did not work at all. It was a terrible, terrible decision. At a certain point, I just started deploying him on the board, and he was getting more work out of being deployed on the board. So I need to go back and do some more work on that, because things have changed, and I don't agree with how I was doing it now, or doing it back then. So that's going to need some more work, but that's going to be a good opportunity for me to then go and maybe do, a kit bashing video instead, or go back into the painting more, especially as right now gaming is so much up in the air. I don't think that Mass Marines, I do think that Mass Marines has some potential, since they can just throw out so much damage against other infantry. And I will be making a video on a certain thing with that. In all honesty, it might be something where I buy some infractors to build that and do that stuff with. And that way Emma won't kill me for how much money I spent on infractors, which is smart, because I think that we all know that Emma would destroy me if she had to. So, I mean, she could comment right now. She's watching. She knows. She knows she could throw me under the bus for that. So it might be better on her wallets anyways. No, I'm just kidding. She wouldn't do that. I just give her a hard time. But any other questions? I really want to play that list at some point. Next TTS game that we get in, Sated, I might bring my mass infantry against you, and we could try it. But yeah, that's my plan for this week. I'm going to try and work on some painting and some kit bashing videos, and I'm going to get more stuff set up. So hopefully, it'll end up being something where I can get a lot of that stuff out this Friday. because it shouldn't take me too long to paint some of these things and talk over it. So we'll figure it out. Friday, we might do a painting stream. If I can get it figured out, I will do one. If not, then I will figure something else out. We might even play some Space Marine together or something like that. We can do some Space Marine stream. I will try and bring a balanced list then so you can get a feel for it. Sick. If you play a full game with mass intensity list for proxies IRL, you can buy the models. That's fair. That's fair. Oh, if you can play, were you trying to say you can't buy the models if I can play with proxies? Yeah, I probably could, but I don't want to because they don't look as cool. No, I probably will have to do it that way because money is tight. No, I'm just kidding. Money is not super tight, but it's at the same time of I don't like unnecessary spending. That's an unnecessary spend, but I want it. It's hard. It's all balanced. But I'm going to sign off for now unless we have any more questions. But that's my plan for this week. My biggest goal with some of these stuff is I might not get everything done in time. I might not be able to do everything perfectly. But what I do want to give you guys with any of this stuff or whatever I'm doing with this is complete and utter transparency, right? If I don't get something done, I'm going to tell you why I didn't get something done. I was tired. I was too much thinking about this tournament. I had something else that I had to do, but I don't want to ever put it out a situation where I'm like, why is this video not out? It's because it's not out yet. No, I'm going to tell you why it's going on and what's going on with it so that you guys can have that transparency because I want transparency out of our companies, out of GW, out of all of this stuff. So it would be very hypocritical of me to ask for transparency and not be transparent myself. So that's why I'm doing that. Nah, I mean, if you can get through 5 rounds with that huge number of models in 3 hours, you can buy them. Don't threaten me with a good time. Don't threaten me with a good time. I can do it. I can do it. We'll do it. Maybe we won't do it today, but we'll do it. We'll do it one day this week. I've got some proxies for it. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much. The streams have been growing and growing and growing. The amount of concurrent viewers that we're having is growing even more. And I cannot thank you guys enough for that. It's an honor to be able to do this for you guys and be an entertainment source for y'all. And to me, it's something that deeply touches me that you guys are enjoying the content and that there's things that you guys like and that I'm not just shouting into the clouds like an old man. So it means a lot to me. Thank you guys a lot for that. If there's things that you guys want to see, I know we're going to be working on that K47 stream. There's other stuff that you guys want to see, please let me know. I'm still working on how I want to plan out the Discord. I know making a Discord is not super hard, but it's more of I'm working on some organization, some rules, some leadership stuff, basically, to give people some opportunities to do stuff in that Discord. But also, I want it to be a very good environment as well, where we've got some control, we've got some plans on it. So I'm writing up some stuff to have some rules and the things like that, so that we can really make sure that everybody has a good experience in that Discord. Because that's the last thing I would want, is to make something and then have people come to me and go, I'm having a bad time because somebody in there is being a jerk. So we're going to lay down some ground rules, do all of this stuff. But I just want to make sure everything is above board, on ground, all the crazy terms. So that's where I've got in my plans so far. If there's anything that you guys are interested in, please hit me up on Instagram, work_in_progress_painting, or even just commenting on these videos, or even just sending me a message if you know me on Discord. Feel free to reach out and do whatever, because I am revitalized after this tournament and we're having some fun. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us this day. I hope there wasn't too much negativity on this stream, but I'm going to get working on a couple of things and we are going to figure it out. So until next time, we will see y'all on the battlefield. I'm like, look at